Welcome back to Soul Food and Lemonade. As promised, I have an exclusive interview with a dear friend of mine, Sam Archer. Sam, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, my brother?
I am doing great, man. Good to have you on the show. We've known each other for what? Way over 20-something years, right?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Has to be.
It was around the time when Courtney was getting ready to do the Journey album. What year was that? Was that 90-something?
Something. It's a long time. Try to reveal our age, right?
Just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to, I want to give the age thing out.
I know.
That could be detrimental for us.
Well, let's talk about your brand new book. First of all, Sam Archer is a producer, he's an entrepreneur, he's an excellent musician, and he can tell you more about what he is. Sam, will you share with our listeners, some other accomplishments?
Some other things.
Yes.
From the producing standpoint, I've been producing records since the early 90s. Since about 91, around there, I started producing projects. I'm a musician. I can do sequencing, recording, that kind of stuff. Fast forward to 2010, I worked on a degree, music business at Full Sail University. Graduated in 2012, and since that point, I've been championing the importance of understanding the music business, understanding, how we need to put our pension plans in place as artists. Hence the book. Actually, if we rewind back a little bit, let's go to probably 2000 and might have been 5 or 2006. I recorded a record for you.
That was 2007. My life.
So I wasn't too far off. Okay,
no,
great.
You weren't too far off. 2007.
I went all the way to doing my degree. There's a lot of really great things that happened in between. Doing my degree, worked with you. I worked with Courtney Fadlin, Lovina Walcott, His Voice, Timothy Anderson, Earl Henry.
Now you're going way back.
Samuel Clark, and then I did some major industry things. I used to hang with track masters for a little bit, so sometimes they'll call me in to do some keyboard work.
Nice.
Things like that. So I did have a taste of the major industry, and I did have a taste of the independent side of things.
So you're well-rounded.
Primarily been. So far, yes, it seems that way.
That's a good thing, man. That's a good thing. Now, you just wrote a book, Hybrid Executive. Now, tell me a little, how did that come about? How did the concept for writing a book come about, and what is the book about for those who may just hearing this interview and not familiar with you?
Okay. So, yes, the book was just released, but we're talking over 10 years in making this book.
Oh, man. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, it's been a minute. It's been a journey putting this book together. And I can just give you a backstory, and it would answer a lot of what you just asked. In the early 90s, when I started the journey of being a producer, I had a gospel group that we did a lot of. We were in the New York area, so we did New York, the city, Queens, Long Island, the Bronx. Would be every weekend we're singing somewhere, and we had put out a single that ended up on the radio. Back then, 1600 AM WWRL was the gospel station at the time. And I took my fast green Caribbean talking self, and I sent a single. We did singles at that time. So it's a cassette with 2 songs, A-side and a B-side. And I sent that out to RL, to the program director at the time, who was Mr. Van J. And actually, may he continue to rest in peace. I just read a couple months ago that he may have passed on about a year ago.
Oh.
But he was the program director. And you have to remember things weren't happening as fast as it is now. So I would think that I got a call back maybe about a month later, and which in today's market, it would be I got a call, I sent him the stuff this morning and then I got a call tonight.
I know, right?
Those
are the slow days.
Right? So then he calls me and he says, may I speak to Mr. Samuel Archer? And I'm like, so my dad answered the phone, of course. So he said, Sammy, you have this person on the phone for you. I said, this is Mr. Samuel Archer? And he's like, yeah, have you been listening to the radio station? And I go, yeah. He said, well, you're in rotation. Congratulations and good luck. And I'm like, thank you. And then click.
Oh, man.
But so said, so done. I would hear it a couple times a day.
Nice.
And it was a song called Do You Love Me? And it was on rotation at WWRL. And nice. When that happened, you got to remember that around that time, there were a lot of gospel groups in New York. New York had a nice, a lot of groups were around in New York. And they were like really grinding hard. There were concerts and, of course, recording was an expensive process, so not everyone could put something out. But you had all these groups that were, everyone had a dream to get to the studio and record, So now we come in around the early 90s, and we end up with something on the radio, So the groups around at the time, they're like, how you guys pull that off? It came from left field. They're like, but these guys just did this thing and it's on the radio right now. So what ended up happening is that I started consulting before I knew what consulting was. So I would get all these calls from different people. Hey, how you guys did this? How you guys did that? What did you do here? And where did you record? And how you all got singles? Singles, it blew their minds. I mean, there was like a fresh new thing to do because no one actually did singles in the gospel circuit at the time in New York. We're talking, again, the early 90s.
Right.
So some people did a custom record or they'd have vinyl or something, but not much people did cassette in terms of an album. And then we did a single, it just blew their minds, So I'm giving the story. And there burst the idea for the book. Of course, it wasn't called Hybrid Executive then. But I said to myself, maybe I need to put together a how-to booklet. So it was supposed to be a booklet or a pamphlet initially. And little by little, I'll write, and then I'll put it down, and then some months would pass, and then I'll get back to it, and then I'll write a little bit more, and then put it down, and then maybe a year or two would pass. And so this has been going on for a minute. And when I was doing my degree, a couple of interesting things happened. There were a few books on the schedule that we were supposed to use in the class. And by the time the class came around, we couldn't use the book anymore because the book was obsolete.
Oh, okay.
And I'm talking in a matter of months. It's like you put out a book last year and this year they can't use it anymore because the information is obsolete. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be putting out a book that I put it out this week and then in like 6 months, things have changed.
Yeah, relevant today and non-relevant 6 months.
Yeah. So I had to change it from a how-to book, Oh, okay. So I was doing, how to write a song, how to produce, how to engineer, how to put together a budget, all these how-to things. I had to switch the information around as to more of a discussion and talk about the concepts and principles and, the way to prepare yourself as an artist. So the format that the book is in now is more of a long-lasting format. This is a book I can actually do, the first edition, the second edition,
Okay. Awesome.
It can even be done like that because I'm not telling you how to do anything in here. It's really about more of, unlocking the mind and, recognizing opportunity when you see it and things to do to prepare yourself as an artist, things to understand in the industry. So it's more of a self-help, a self-empowerment manual. I've been calling it as a nickname, the self-empowerment manual for today's indie artists. And so let's come to the name of the book, Hybrid Executive. When I was getting ready to graduate, we were encouraged to start sending out our resumes. Well, you're a Full Sail grad too, so
Yes, I am.
You know the
Proud
drill.
Sale grad. Oh, yeah.
So before graduation, they had us sending out resumes, and I got tired of cover letters, meaning that, for the kind of job it was, I needed a cover letter and then sort of give myself a title for that. Mm-hmm. And if it was something in management, I needed to do a cover letter for that job and call myself something else. Because in the degree program, you're proficient in all the areas.
Right.
You're proficient in product development, you're proficient in marketing, you're proficient in publicity, you're proficient in A&R, in distribution, in the digital media,
a little bit of entertainment law. It covers
entertainment law and business law and international business law, they really took me to school on this stuff.
Yes.
So I kind of got tired of having to switch cover letters, and I say, you know what, I'm just going to call myself a hybrid executive, call it a day, and just put it on so I just had this one general cover letter, and whatever the position was, I kind of left a space for that. Mm-hmm. But the letter was a template, so then I'll say I'm writing in regards or in reference to this position you have open. Mm-hmm. And then on my title, the title would be hybrid executive.
Okay.
And then that's how I would send out, or, because basically at the end of the day, when you look at the title of what hybrid executive means, that's what it is. You're an indie artist, but you can handle the business aspects of what it is you need to get done.
It makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
And you can handle whatever position they have available. You got a tape room, I could rock with that. You have an engineer room, you need someone to rock with the volume levels and mix a show, what have you, I can do that. You have an artist that needs artist development, there's, I can rock with that. You're doing product development. There's just all these areas that I'm proficient in that I needed that one title.
Right.
And I felt that hybrid executive would really be it'd be a great title that indie artists today and entrepreneurs today can actually use that title proudly and say, yeah, I'm a hybrid executive.
And it's a fitting title. It's very, very fitting, actually.
Yes, it is.
At first, I was wondering, what do you mean by that? But now that you explain it, it's very clear. Keep it locked. Right here, you're in tune to Soul Food and Lemonade. 97.5. Welcome back to Soul Food and Lemonade. If you're just joining us, you're at the right place at the right time. My guest today is Mr. Sam Archer, a record producer. I know him as a record producer and a songwriter and an excellent musician. And you're being introduced to Sam Archer as the hybrid executive. Sam, take it away, my brother.
Yes, sir. I just want to commend you for a couple of things. Soul Food and Lemonade is a really good title. I just want to get some soul food right now. You're making me hungry.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is my first interview for the book, Hybrid Executive.
Oh.
This is the very, very first official interview for Hybrid Executive.
Awesome. Now I feel especially honored for that.
You are very honored, and I thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome, man. I'm always here to support, always.
Most def.
Now, I'm going through the book, and one of the questions I would first ask you have several chapters here. Let me jump briefly to chapter 50, the booking agent, because this is where a lot of artists tend to go wrong, especially those who try to do it themselves. They mess up a lot. What would you say to an artist who is pretty much managing themselves, trying to book themselves, etc.? How do they go about it, and what would you recommend without giving away too much?
Yeah, so in the book, I in reference to bookings, I talk a little bit about it because in terms of interacting with the other departments, you have the artists, you have the management, you have maybe the business manager, you have the booking person, and bookings is pretty much the area where the artists would get gigs. But in terms of the hybrid executive point of view, the person that's good at bookings has a certain viewpoint that that the artist may not have, or that the manager may not have. The person that's booking, he or she has a viewpoint that you actually see the artist with their interaction of the audience. So if you give them a couple of gigs, you can actually tell in the first couple of performances if this artist is really gonna be something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know, so it's really from that angle. But in terms of the artists booking themselves, I would commend it. I would encourage it, not because you want to do everything, but because you want to understand what it is when you're filling that role.
Right.
You know, you want to understand what it means to sit on your butt, get on the phone, reach out to a couple of different people that have venues or open mics or what have you, and you basically want to start booking, you know.
And I think it also helps the artist to understand the business even more also. So it's not necessarily a bad thing that they're doing by trying to book themselves.
Correct.
So do you agree?
Correct, yeah. Even if they have to use an alias, you know, say I'm the booking agent for Sam Archer, you know, and you're actually talking to Sam Archer.
Right.
Sometimes you do that, you know, you tell a little, it's not really a white lie, but you just use an alias because the person on the other end of the phone, they may not be used to talking to the artist. They may be used to talking to a manager or a booking agent. So you got to say, well, I'm the booking agent for so-and-so. And see, you know, what you can work out. But yeah, I would encourage today's artist, who is also a hybrid executive, to dabble a little bit, you know, to understand it, and to try to designate someone eventually, because now you sort of know what that department does.
Right.
You know, you kind of have an idea as to what it is, because remember, now the artist is an artist. We just have to do the other things because of the nature of technology and where we are in life right now, where the society is, where the culture is. You know, we have technology moving at a rate that it changed the whole record industry. You know, it's like in the 80s and the 70s and the 90s, you know, the label carried out a certain role. So all you had to do was concentrate on writing good songs. All you had to do was to concentrate on producing your product properly for the record company. Or if you were independent, you know, make sure it's done professionally.
Correct.
So you can hit the public. Today, the artist has to do everything. You got to write the song. You got to produce the song, you got to package the song, you got to market the song, and you got to book yourself.
Yes.
You know, you got to get out there.
It's a lot of work involved as an indie artist.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work
for the indie artist today.
Now, in the book, you made a statement, no matter the task, understanding how each music department interacts and overlaps with each other is vital. Explain, what do you mean by that for those who may not already get it?
Well, it's vital because even though we're in a digital age right now, a lot of what we're doing in the digital age resembles what happened in the analog era. You know, so first we had to go through the process of songwriting, you know, and go through the rigmarole with songwriting. Is this a good song? Does it fit your voice? Are you the songwriter or is someone else writing the song? And then now, if you write the song and you like the song, now you go to an arranger. So now this arranger can take your song and, you know, put in the proper key that fits you. And, you know, so there's a whole science to getting just the song together. And then there's a whole science in arranging the song. And there's a science in getting that song produced. And then what happens at that point, okay, when it's ready to hit the public, You have copyrights to fill out. You have to understand your publishing. So this is where the publishing and the copyright will come in when you're getting ready to release your sound recording.
Right.
And your sound recording is pretty much the version of that song that the public is going to hear.
Right.
You see? So now what I said, I said to you in the last 2 minutes so many things. That, the publishing overlapped with copyright, it overlapped with songwriting, it overlapped with production.
Right.
And it overlapped with, you see? So just the fact that I just used that example to understand all the different players in the mix. And also, in the old days, arranging was different to producing. You see, today, the producer and the arranger is kind of like the same person now. But at one point, you went to an arranger.
Right.
And this arranger will arrange, so like, for example, in Nat King Cole days, the arranger would arrange a piece of music because there's an orchestra that has to play it in the studio. So you're arranging strings and writing it out, and the piano, you're writing it out, and the horns, you're writing it out, and the percussion, you're writing it out. And then the producer, who's in charge of the creative control, he or she can listen to what the arranger says and say, all right, I like this job you did here. Let's take it to the studio. Mm-hmm. It was a part of the process. And then as technology came into the picture and, you started having the one-man guy who could sit behind the computer or he could sit behind the keyboard and put together the drums and the strings and the keyboard. He put everything together and then now put the artist in the studio. Okay, sing this for me, please.
Right.
Okay, let's ship this over to the engineer. And then now you have some producers who engineer too.
Yep.
So... You might have a one-man guy that's doing the whole shebang for you.
Exactly.
And getting your product out the door.
Now, for a lot of us, including myself, making music for me is more so of a hobby than a profession. That's just speaking for myself now.
Okay.
So, although I would have loved to sell a lot of copies, I don't necessarily put in the work for that to happen. Where do you think myself and other artists have gone wrong trying to get their music out there to the public?
Where you went wrong. No, I was saying wrong might be a little bit.
Yeah,
you might have to say it with a grain of sand.
Well, yeah,
or a grain of salt, because
what could we have done better?
Really and truly, there's it's really about education. Mm-hmm. We're part of that era where we had to bounce around and find things out for ourselves.
Right.
When I did that degree at Full Sail, it really put the whole thing together for me. And I'm sure that happened with you too.
That is my experience. It's interesting you mention that because I was doing stuff that were right. I was doing a lot of stuff, but I didn't have a name for it. But once I went to Full Sail, I knew what it was, and I knew that I was doing things right. I just didn't have it organized and packaged in a way that could... Exactly. So Full Sail has opened up my eyes and my world to so much. And I'm sure the same is for you, because every now and then you may... Yeah, every now and then you may see people online even bashing Full Sail. But for me personally, Full Sail was a blessing.
Yeah, well, before we jump into the Full Sail bashing, what I wanted to say was one of the things I realized that I lacked in a major way, and this might be the same for you when you say what could have we done, what we could have done better. I'm thinking it would have been the marketing side of things.
Yes.
Because, we spent a lot of time getting the songs together. We got the production done and the artwork and if we had to do a show, we got the band. We got the creative thing together.
Yes.
We never really spent time
marketing the product
that we had. You know what I'm saying?
You're right about that. Because I still have tons of my CDs sitting here doing absolutely nothing. They're just sitting here. And that's because I didn't market properly.
You didn't market. Now the good thing, well, I don't know if it's a good thing because CDs are kind of on their way out.
Right.
They're pretty much on their way out. But the good thing with that though is something can happen with that music, even though you still have CDs and boxes in the room. I believe so. And a good example of that would be the group that did Macarena.
I remember that song.
That was a song done in the I think that was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. The group that did Macarena was in the 80s. So the song came out, made a little noise. It wasn't a hit or anything until a couple of years later. Mm-hmm. Was it like the early 2000s? It came out again.
So. I believe so.
And these guys they had already moved on in life, and they got overweight and family, and they were out of the game. And this DJ at a party, I heard, I don't know if this is how the story went, but this DJ at a party, he puts the song on as a joke. Mm. And the song tore the place up. Tore the whole dance, it tore the place up. And that's when Macarena took off.
And it was huge.
It was a huge record. I mean, the guys had to come out of retirement. Now, so you see these two guys in tux singing Macarena.
Yeah.
They're not 18 or 21 anymore. And now they're big men coming back.
Life takes some interesting turns sometimes, man. Yeah, I'm telling you. There's still hope for us.
There's still some hope. I mean, and it's amazing. I mean, could you imagine if they never put the song out?
Yeah.
There wouldn't be a Macarena. So sometimes you gotta maybe it's the long end, maybe it's the big picture. A couple of years down the road, people might actually get into the record.
Yeah, I believe that because I've always been told that from a songwriting aspect, I write some good songs, and I kind of believe that, and I believe also that enough people haven't gotten the chance to hear some of my material, and I probably believe you probably believe the same too. I don't know if it's not being in the right place at the right time, or it's just waiting for another generation to come by. I don't know, but I do believe that even though my music has been recorded a few years ago, I believe very strongly in at least some of the songs. So I believe that as an indie artist, a lot of us are too quick to give up. If we try and something don't happen right away, we're ready to move on to the next career path.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You gotta really put the time in on this. If it's something that you want, you gotta go for it.
Exactly.
You got to grind, and don't be mad at the path that life gives you to get there, because by the time you get there, what's really going to matter is the cost for you to get there. So if you understand the cost getting you there, then when you get there, you can appreciate what it is.
So true.
Opposed to you come in on a quick ride. And you piss it all away, excuse my French.
You're right, though.
Some people, that's what they do. They get there, and it's like nothing. It's like, this was easy. And they throw it away, not understanding the value behind, getting there. So that's a really, really important way to. But yeah, you recorded the music. It could end up in a movie. It could end up in a commercial. You never know where the stuff could end up.
Exactly. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back. It's Soulfood Lemonade. Thanks for listening.
97.5